we live? Are we live now? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Big ups. Welcome to another episode. It's going to be episode 3 of 20 to 40 podcast. I'm going to be hosting today. We're going to switch it up a little bit. My name is Sirod. I'm here with Aubrey and Stephen, and we're going to go ahead and get right to it. I wanted to ask the fellas. I know we got a lot of feedback from a lot of people, so I wanted to start the show off with anything you wanted to say to those people who gave us feedback, the thank yous, or what you liked or didn't like. We can go ahead and start there.
Yeah, I just want to say, man, everybody that took their time to listen, I know time is important. You stretched in a million different ways, got some great feedback, and really got some people that listened to it and already seem to get some value. And really, that's the point. That the first benefit is just being here with the friends and just reflecting, and then that added benefit of you guys getting some of that wisdom from other people's perspective, things that we've been through. Man, just grateful for it. And one thing I would ask is if you could share it too. We're really trying to just get out as much value as we can and just hit that share button, and it would really make a difference for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely crazy. I like Pep said, right? 4 people, right? And then when we and seeing the numbers and just getting the feedback from everybody and just everyone that really just took some time out of their day to just think we were worth listening to. Like, I really appreciate it. I think it's a humbling experience just to have people that are close to you let you know, like, hey, yeah, I'm rocking with you, I'm vibing with you, and and then giving that constructive criticism of how, hey, I think you could elevate it even more, but I think what you got is good. But this is, and so just people that really showing genuine love and just, I just want to give that love back because that's positivity. So I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, no, not many people that I sent it to listened to it, so I got nothing to add to that. Um, all right, so I did want to point out we do have an Instagram page up. We'll be working on other social media outlets. Again, we know not everybody's on Instagram or TikTok or wherever. So, I mean, when you're doing something and you want the masses to listen to it, you got to diversify. So we'll be getting that stuff going up. But Instagram's pretty simple to post up. I got that going. I throw in a couple quotes and we'll mix it in with our style and what we're trying to portray. So let's go and get started. It kind of started as a joke, but I really thought it was a great question, and it'll kind of piggyback off of some of the advice and feedback that we got from some people. So the first question I got for you fellas is real talk. Why should niggas even listen to us? We're not millionaires. We're not sitting in our $1 billion mansions or something like that. Like, why would people want to pick up this podcast and be like, oh, let me hear what these fellas got to say?
I think I never wanted to come across as bragging, right? But I'm really grateful and proud of everybody on this podcast because we've come a far way. And when I look at where we could have been, it's like, damn, okay. So just to give you a little quick background, my parents were military, got divorced when I was young, and I ended up growing up like in between my mom and dad's house. And then coming up, one of the biggest things I always wanted was to have a family. And I say that because probably one of the biggest things I am personally proud of is like me and my wife have been together like 11 years, almost 12, right? We have a daughter that's 2.5. And I say that because, I've been faithful to my wife the whole time, no stepping out. And I say that because, there's some families where it's not like that, right? Obviously, I came from, my parents didn't make it past, I think really they broke up when I was 4, officially, like maybe when I was 8 or 9. And, I really remember wanting a strong family foundation was one of the biggest things I wanted. And to be, with my wife consistent, committed for 11 years, almost 12, for me was really important because, for any of the fellas that are listening to this, if you've ever had times where you've been out and about and enjoying that single life, it is fun. It can be a lot more fun than when it's like, yo, I'm at the crib with my, partner that I've been with for some years. Whereas that new person that you meet while you're out, it's all new, it's all fun, it's all exciting. And I never could quite understand when I was single how dudes could do it, right? Especially like if you were a dude that had some game. Like if I was like, in my heart, I was like, if you whack, of course you cool with one babe, but if you like how, and I was like, you know what? Because it took a choice. It wasn't a forced, it was like you choose it. And I thought that was powerful. And that's something personally I always wanted. So that's one of the biggest things for me. I do have my doctorate of physical therapy. I'm a homeowner, for, finances. I really deep dive into finances and came from significant amount of debt, like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, almost like 30K in debt to, in liquid almost 400K in network assets from Liquid. Not to say good for us, but to say like what a year and a half of really like focusing and really being about your craft and hard work and commitment can really do. And that's what I want to bring to this is the family aspect, the commitment aspect, financial aspect, and things like that. So
All right, Stephen, watch the niggas listen to you.
I think it's kind of what you said, right? Like I'm not a rich dude. I'm just a regular guy that did regular things to be successful, right? Like the what I try to like talk about is literally only things that I've been through. So if I've never been through something, I'm not going to guess at that perspective. But I think there's a lot of value in just hearing people's growth stories, right? Because I think a lot of us kind of go through a similar thing, like yeah, getting into community college, getting kicked out of community college, joining the military, you know what I'm saying? Getting out of the military and then trying to restart going back to college in your late 20s and then doing law school in your 30s, A lot of people, I feel like they always say, oh, I'm too old, I can't do it, or I can't, it's not for me. I might be too old, or, what do I look like going back? And it's just like, you know, I didn't become an attorney until I was what, 34. So it's like you could do it. Anyone could do it. It's just, can you have that focus and maybe getting some of these stories or this knowledge or wisdom to help you when you're going through it, right? Like everyone, it always sounds easy, but when you're going through it, some of this stuff is some of the hardest stuff you have to do, like especially dealing with depression and anxiety and this like mental health struggles that people go through that no one sees, but only that person knows. And for me, like understanding that, one thing that I always think about is like suicidal thoughts, right? Is something that I had to deal with during depression, and understanding that in and of itself isn't really a bad thing, but understanding that there's a lot of people that have gone through and have had suicidal thoughts, that doesn't make them, any other different type of person. So I think there's a lot of things that, just perspective and life things of going through it, that understanding that someone else has gone through that or can understand where you're coming from and then give you maybe a little different perspective or knowledge on how to overcome that, to then let you achieve to where you really want to go and be in life. So yeah, I'm just a regular dude that's gone through life, and this is what I've learned. And I hope, if people are rocking with it, cool. And if not, maybe it'll bounce back, like Aubrey said. Like maybe it'll come back to you later on in a couple of years, but oh dang, I remember when, and this is how you do it. So
Yeah. No, a regular dude is when I came up with the question, that's what I came up with. Like whether it's a few people I pay attention to, Grant Cardone, he's out there saying, you shouldn't rent. And then the comments are like, this dude owns a bunch of properties. It's like there's a lot of fake people that people are listening to. And it's like, you can't be no fake here. You know what I'm saying? Like you can see my office is the size of a regular person's office. We lived in apartments. Like we're not millionaires, so we're kind of going through what a lot of people I think are listening to will be going through. So hopefully there's that relatability. But regular dudes would kind of popped in my head. Like I just see a lot of people on social media. If you're listening to them for advice, Dave Ramsey and all this, it's just like I don't know if you can really relate to them because they're not really in your shoes. Maybe they were a long, long time ago, but it's different from when those guys were in there. I mean, we talked about that in one of the episodes. It's different from when they were younger and the way they're trying to say to get out of debt or how to invest or, the stock market, real estate, all the stuff that we want to talk about. Um, Also, I know some of the feedback was to kind of point out who we are. I did kind of jokingly gloss over it, but like I said, I met Steven in high school. We went to junior college a little bit, and then I went to SDSU. I met Aubrey. We were roommates. The three of us hung out a lot in that early 20s age. But I became a police officer, a federal police officer. I made it to the top of the police department, so I was in charge of almost the department is about 200 people. So I was in charge of like all those people, making sure that they had their vacation set, their pay set. I hired people, I fired people. Entrepreneurship, I've made like over 20 grand in videography, photography. I made over 100 grand in real estate, life insurance license. So I say all that to say most of these jobs are normal though. Everybody knows a real estate agent. Somebody knows somebody who sells insurance. Cops. This is my life. Entrepreneurship. Working for the federal government. I do HR now. That was so that I can get a little bit more income with the federal government. But we're normal dudes, so that's why I would say people can listen because you're not going to really hear anything too fancy. If we did it, they should be able to do it. It's really not. And then the mistakes that we made. Obviously, I could have expanded my photo, booth stuff, my real estate stuff. But there's things that I didn't do that I did learn later that I could probably put someone on game, how to expand. Because 100,000 is good, but why not make 500? Why not make a million? Those are things that I want to talk about. So, speaking of those successes, I guess the next question I would ask is like, we're going to be telling people certain things. What is success to you guys? Obviously it's different for everybody, but that's a decent perspective to know, because if you're telling somebody, well, you should do this, you should do that, that's probably because you have a certain idea of what success is. So what's success in you guys' format that you're coming from?
For me, I think success growing up looked different than it's like one of those things when you start to get these things, it doesn't feel like you thought it would feel. And I think one of the things for me that success became about is, number one, building a life that I wanted to have feel a certain way. So for me, I really wanted family. I really wanted to be able to have a home, right? I grew up in a lot of apartments. And I remember as a kid, like one of my best friends from high school, looking back, you kind of see these things now, but like, it was like a stark contrast, right? I lived in an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, almost 6, 7 people at one time. And I remember feeling in the apartment, like, I can't even get a second to myself. Like, I don't know if you've ever been where like, you can't get like that alone time to like reset. And I remember that feeling like, damn,
Yeah, when I was in
all
college with
around.
you.
Yeah. I'm
When I
looking
was in college
across
with
like
you on
you
the
right
couch.
there. I'm talking about you, the roommate. No, this is another time when I was younger. And I knew I wanted a home with some space. I wanted a home to call our own. I wanted a home with a family in it for that solidarity. Because, for me, my parents ended up remarrying later and then having children later, which I'm really grateful for because they're amazing siblings. But I remember always feeling like sometimes the odd person out because it wasn't my mom and dad. It was my dad, with their mom. It was my mom with their dad. And I never had an experience of like my mom and dad as a couple and us as a family. Like we went on like a vacation when I was younger, like to Hawaii, and I always remember that because that was maybe the closest I felt to it. And I was like, for me, success is about having a family in that family home experience with that love and experiencing that bond. So of course, to do that, I would need money, I would need time, and I would need, the ability to use my money and time as I choose, which means I would have to have an abundance of it. So for me, what success was: family, time, and money, flexibility, and choices. So that was it for me.
And I guess for me, I, I always look at success as wealth, right? But for me, um, when I grew up and having my mom really instill in me that, money is one of those things that comes and goes, right? And you can't die with it. So for me, looking for wealth outside of material things is how I built my success, like my relationship with just people, right? How I connect, how I act, it, it, so to be successful for me means I have to have a wealth of people around me. And, having my wife, having my daughters, having my brothers, my friends, um, having a lot of really good, solid people that I know if push comes to shove, if I really needed something, I was locked up and I was like, hey, I need the bail money, to know that if I call somebody at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, like that to me is success, right? To know that I could reach out and find somebody or connect with somebody that can help me move through life, right? And always continuing to climb. And that's not to say that obviously uh, being an attorney has given me and has afforded me a lifestyle um, that I can't have material things. But I think the way in which I spend my material things are really just for me. So like I always tell people I'm bougie, but that's just because that's the stuff that I like. Like that's the stuff that I'm using that I'm not letting everybody else, right? And so yeah, I think I am wealthy with having not only, the people and then finances, but also just knowledge, right? Like being able to read and still understand and still go through life and really being able to reflect on things is what I see as just what successful people do and how successful people have moved. But that doesn't mean there's only one way to success. But that's just my definition of success of just, well, yes, material things are cool. Am I really wealthy amongst other people in the knowledge and everything else that I consume and deal with around me?
Yeah, I think, oh my goodness. I think if I was 20 and I had this, what I wrote down for this answer, man, 23, 25, 24, it was the Beamer. This is success. The True Religion jeans, um, Sean's little shiny ass chain. I mean, this was the things that I was like, I need this. Fresh Air Force Ones. I mean, I don't even want to
Fresh
say it was a good,
ones.
like I said, you said what?
The fresh ones. Remember? I don't know if you were like, yo, this shirt would look dope with some fresh ones. These pants would look dope with it was like, bro, anything looks dope with some fresh ones. It'll
I
be
do
up
remember
there.
that. We're shopping. It's like, yo, everything goes cool with fresh ones. And don't get us started on a white tee. I mean, basically, it's just spend $400 on the jeans. Everything else could be, $100 for the shoes, $12 for the shirt. So yeah, success, it's crazy because the podcast is 20 to 40, and that's kind of where it came from. Like success completely changed. I mean, one, if you'd have told me when I was 26 that I was making six figures, wouldn't you just be, on top of the world and everything is like hell no, nah, I make way over that. And it's just like this isn't success in my eyes anymore. So back then, yeah, it was, could I get VIP on the low? Or, could I get a bottle for a hookup or something? Like this was success. I was like, I go to work and then I can do what I want on the weekends with my friends and we can go to Vegas and share one hotel room with one bed with six of us. That was success. I'm like, but we're in the Aria. It's a fucking joke. But so I'll get to now. It's freedom. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on it in one way or another. How you get that freedom is the things that we want to talk about and share those experiences of how we're getting there now. Aubrey, I'm in my year right now. Like, I mean, the credit cards, they're not a big deal. $100 there, $100 there. I'm tired of that. So it's kind of sucks because it's like, oh, now I got to pay this $14,000 to pay off this credit card just to get rid of a $200 payment. It's kind of crazy, but I want that freedom. I'm tired of looking at that shit. You know what I'm saying? So even though I got to give up a chunk of my money, I want that mental freedom of not having to owe on a credit card because I make enough money that I can just save and buy what I want. If we want to go to Vegas or Thailand or if I want to invest in a rental property, like I don't need to keep putting things on credit. And obviously there's the positive credit and all that. But for the most part, freedom. That's I mean, success for me is just the freedom. And how you get there is there's a lot of different routes. And we know a few and we're gonna bounce these ideas off of ourselves for the next, whatever time period. We're talking about the podcast and the books you guys said you read and all that. Um, so yeah, success is freedom for me. Um, I did point out a few, stocks and real estate are probably the top two. But how are you getting that freedom? What would you? We don't have to deep dive into it, but like kind of the how are you kind of navigating how you're going to try to get to that freedom at some point, before we're 50 or I don't know your timeline, 5, 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, I think one of the things was first of all, like getting mad. Like I got mad at myself because Sirod knows I'm not cheap, but I'm aware of my money. Like I'm not one of those cats that like, yo, I'm just like spending money. Like I always know how much I spend. I always like I'm the dude that doesn't really eat out or get fast food because I got food at the crib. I'm that dude. I've always known where my money is, and to still end up in a spot where I was tight on money, and it was just a quick thing. I had some family members going through some stuff, and I couldn't help them if I wanted to, and I remember that feeling. And I was like, bro, I've worked too hard to not be able to do what I want. And that was a turning point for me. I remember I was like, something's got to change. I work 20-hour days. I'll figure this out. I'm not going to be in this situation anymore. And I think from there, and I'm not going to deep dive into it, that'll be another episode, was like, I made a decision, like, it's time to master this shit. Like, I'm not dabbling with money anymore. Like, it's too important. It's like fire. Like, I need to know exactly how to use it. I need to become a master of this so I can master it and be done with it. So it would like come back to haunt me at different times. And I'm like, why? Like, it's always going to be there. Money's always going to be a part of our life. And I haven't mastered it. So it's like a like an old ex-girlfriend that just keeps coming nagging because you haven't just cut it off and finished it. And I think it was from that anger into that decision to mastery, and then from that deep diving into books. We'll get into this in another pass. Deep diving into books, deep diving into new habits, and deep diving into the getting mad enough to take it into action to create the things that I wanted for us and our family. So I think that was a big decision. Like, yo, I think a lot of people dabble with it, but they haven't made the decision to master it. Like, I know if you made a decision to master, if I recommend a book and you don't download it or buy it right then, if you're on this, oh yeah, I'll check it out. You haven't decided. Because anybody told me any book, any podcast, anything, I was like, I'm on it right now, two times speed, because I need to learn it ASAP. Like, that was the energy I was on, and it really helped me.
Yeah. Stephen, how you getting there, man? Or are you already there? What's the secret?
Yeah. For me, having the dream of being an attorney is cool. But then when you get into it, there's a lot to try to, there's a lot of money in being an attorney, but with a lot of money also comes less time, right? And that is one thing that I am always on, is my time. And is it worth me paying somebody to come and say, do my yard work, or taking that time out myself to do it, right? What is the cost analysis for my life when it comes to my time? And yeah, I could be a private attorney working somewhere, making high six figures and doing all this stuff. But the trade-off with making all that money is I have less time with my family. Like, when you have kids, you only get to watch them grow up once. Like, you don't get redos. There is no jumping back in time and seeing first steps and first words and first crawls. And you don't get to see that. And so for me, I looked at, what is the best job for me to get into? Because the one thing about being an attorney, once you get in somewhere, you can move up. And the more you move up, the more money you make. And so I took a job with the state, right? I took a job with the state doing child support. And when it first came up, I didn't want to do it because I didn't become an attorney to do child support, right? I hate math. I hate math in high school, which and that's why I became an attorney, because I don't like math. You don't have to know math, and so now I do math all the time, which is kind of funny. But this job in and of itself has given me the flexibility, like Aubrey was talking about, that like when Summer has a tennis tournament or a tennis match, or she has a cheer thing, or something happens where I'm flexible, that I could go and just clock out, take some time off, or make the time up on the back end, wherever, that I can go and watch my children grow. And on top of that, this is one of the few jobs that I still get a pension, right? So when I retire, I'm going to be catching a check, and they allow me to have like spouse survivorship. So after I die, my wife will then be able to get a check every month when she in retirement age until she dies, type thing, And everyone knows men die before women, right? So you got to kind of set them up. Like, that's just the truth. We die, I think, 5 years earlier or so. But that is where I got my freedom at, is understanding when I get my career, the benefits that these jobs are going to give me. And I don't think a lot of people talk about retirement. You asked me about retirement when I was 20, whether it be a 401k or a pension, I would have been like, what are you talking about? I'm just out here, man. I'm retired. That's like 45 years away. Well, now I'm 40, and now it's like 20 years away, right? Yep. And I don't think a lot of people understand what you need to retire.
Yep.
I have a feeling we're not going to have Social Security for us, right?
Damn. So, save it.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, that freedom comes with, the grind in my job. And I know, okay, I get vacation time, I get sick time, I can spend time with my family, but then also knowing I get a pension, that when I get done with this, I'm going to catch a check every month until I pass. That's freedom right there, because I just know I have to put in the time, grind and work, still save, but that's a lot. That's stuff that's been taken from our generation, right? Because the generation before us, a lot of them had pensions. A lot of them had good paying jobs that did this. And we now are trying to figure out like Aubrey said, right, trying to master the stock market and trying to figure that route out? Or can I find a job that gets a pension or has some type of retirement benefits like the military, right? You do 20 years, which is why a lot of our parents join the military, to have that type of retirement benefit at the end of 20. So that's how I got my freedom, was just looking at what my career path is, what these benefits are for the job that gives me my money and time, and then where I'm going to be at when I'm retired and I need to catch a check every month.
Yeah. All right. Well, before I end this episode, I do need to fact check that men die, or I just real quick, just let me. No, I'm joking. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up episode 3. Appreciate you guys for listening. Again, I don't even know what social media is. Again, like and subscribe and all that stuff. You know, if it's there, we'll have the titles, you know, under the caption and the title for when we post these. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Let's get it.